Hey there. Welcome back to these conversations with no one, where I attempt to share my experience of living in a state of non-attachment to my character and duality. This is the fourth conversation, which is conversations with someone, where I answer questions or respond to, again, inspired by comments to other videos or people who emailed me directly. So if you have a question, please check the description for my email, and I'd be happy to interact with anyone who wants to reach out. So first of all, apologies. I'm making this video at a boat ramp, and there's periodically some noise in the background, but we'll do our best. I just thought this was such a cool spot. I wanted to capture it, so hopefully it's not too distracting. So I got an email from someone who asked me why they felt inferior to non-duality speakers, and confessed they pretty much always feel inferior to everyone. And it makes me sad that anyone goes through life feeling this way, but I think everyone does it to some degree. Even, or maybe especially, those who feel superior to everyone else. It seems to me that this is a natural consequence of duality, because when we're immersed in belief in duality, we experience everything with judgment and comparison. We create simple hierarchies, like linear hierarchies of everything being better or worse than something else. And when it comes to any spiritual or non-duality speaker, this is complicated, I guess, by the base implication that to believe in, practice, or experience these things is better, and that people who do are somehow better people than those who don't. Terms like enlightenment and awakening cast everyone else in the role of being unenlightened or asleep. Being a teacher equals smarter, while being a student equals less smart. For me, one of the big breakthroughs with dealing with that came from realizing that every single human being is a complicated mess trying to pass themselves off as having their shit together. I don't actually believe the concept of normality exists. I think it's an extra illusion we've put on top of all the other illusions we experience. And once I realized the extent of my own bullshit, I stopped believing in how my brain perceived other people. I was, and am, no better or worse than anyone else. I'm just having different experiences, or at a different phase of my journey, made different choices for how to navigate this experience. I'm nearly 57, so my age can sometimes make me feel older and wiser than someone in their 20s, but at the same time also less relevant or valuable or interesting in their eyes. And so, because both are truths we create in our mind, depending on which way I want to look at it, I realized that neither are actually true. It also helps that I was many different versions of toxic or messed up throughout my life before my shift, and so I accept that we can't help expressing those sorts of traits as long as we're playing this game we've been conditioned and created to play, designed to play. It all comes down to perspective. Everything we experience in duality is based on what our perspective is and how we literally create the world we live in. The great news that can be found in non-duality is our perspective is actually something we can choose if we're aware that we have some control over it. I think one of the most basic aspects of non-duality that people tend to get wrong is that it's actually a process of letting go of things and not adding knowledge or achieving a higher state. It's about recognizing things like your feelings of inferiority and realizing it's a story and working to figure out why you're choosing that story. And like even after a major paradigm shift, it can take years and years to untie all these knots we've tied ourselves up into our entire lives. Some of them go really deep to the core of our conditioning and our identity, and it takes ages to even notice they're there. And when I talk or write, I probably don't help with those feelings of inferiority or superiority because I use a lot of big words, and I have an intellectual vocabulary because I read so much, and I've struggled my whole life to try to figure out how to communicate as honestly and clearly as possible. But, thank God for spell check, or I'd look like an idiot to most highly educated people whenever I tried to write anything. And another breakthrough I had was when I realized that one of the worst side effects of identifying with your character is we take it all way too seriously. We take ourselves way too seriously. It's hard to break that idea that we're important and what we experience in our head even matters. In comparison to the one consciousness that we really are, we're all little children playing silly and pointless games of make-believe, running around in this illusion, this material reality. And it's especially pointless to ever think that you're better than anyone else. I try to imagine some mythical parent looking down at all of us with love and affection as we run around the preschool yard, fully immersed in our little dramas and trying to act all serious and grown up. And it reminds me I'm just as ridiculous as everyone, just as beautiful as well in my innocent running around experiencing things. And honestly, if you can get over yourself, a lot of unnecessary bullshit just falls away. Another realization I had after my paradigm shift was that our brains are liars. Our feelings are chemically produced illusions of reality. And our bodies walk around this world addicted to the 5 drugs that control that body. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, adrenaline, and endorphins. Yeah. And so we're all junkies because everything we do gives us another hit. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, we get the same hit of our drug. That's why so many people stay in horrible, toxic situations, because it makes their system produce these drugs and they feel important and they feel life is important. Even the experience of feeling inferior makes someone feel important, because existing on that hierarchy is way more acceptable to most of us than feeling inconsequential. And I shared the suggestion with the person who emailed me that if you feel inferior to others, it might also help to feel, or to explore how you might feel or express feeling superior at times. Try to recognize that everyone is just a different version of ourselves. Had we had different experiences or circumstances, any one of these people could be us, and if we are all one consciousness exploring this, they're all us. Yeah, everything we choose in life comes with a trade-off of other things we don't. And I think that's why so many of my videos talk about what is lost or left behind when embracing non-duality. Sort of like in the movie The Matrix, where waking up means giving up the comfort and fun of the illusionary world. I mean, how could I judge anyone who would rather stay plugged in and enjoy everything the illusion has to offer? This is all completely ridiculous, and we are all completely ridiculous, as are those of us who speak about this with any sort of seriousness, self-importance. And if we could laugh at ourselves and learn to love our collective buffoonery, life would be probably much easier. I think that's all I have to say today. So thank you for joining me here. Hope it wasn't too noisy. And I'll talk to you again. Have a good day.